Hello everybody and welcome to our first video for pre-algebra. This is section 1.1 and we will be talking about variables and expressions. Vocabulary is going to be of utmost importance when you're talking about math. These are terms that you need to understand what they are and what they mean, all the way from pre-algebra up to high school calculus that you'll finish here at FBA, and then even on into college when you get into college and you're taking college algebra and analytic geometry and trigonometry and all those things. The vocabulary is what's really important. So you need to understand these words so that you can understand what's being asked in every situation. First one is a variable. It is a symbol that represents a quantity that can change. Most of the time, your variable is going to be an alphabetic letter. Coefficient is a number that is multiplied by a variable. And so if you have the variable of x and then you have a 3 in front of it, 3x, the 3 would be the coefficient. You take any expression, numerical expression, and you have a variable in it, now it is an algebraic expression. So maybe you had 3 plus 5 was your numerical expression, but if you have 3x plus 5, now you have an algebraic expression because you have a variable in it. A constant is going to be a value that doesn't change. In the algebraic expression, 3x plus 5, the 5 would be the constant. And anytime you're asked to evaluate, we are looking for the value to solve the algebraic or numerical expression. So if our numerical expression is 3 plus 5, when we evaluate it, it would be 8. 3 plus 5 is 8. If we have 3x plus 5, we would need to know what the x means. That's what we're looking for, is what does that x mean? All right, and the last thing you need to know is substitution. Anytime you're asked to substitute, we're going to take a certain value and put it in place of our variable in order to evaluate the problem. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We have algebraic expressions where we're going to need to substitute a value for our variable in order to evaluate the expression. Besides learning the vocabulary of mathematics and the language of mathematics, you have to understand the order of operations. It is the guideline for what order you do anything in when you're looking at an expression. Most people remember it as PEMDAS. Helps you to remember what order is important. So let's break down each of those letters of PEMDAS and see what they mean. So if you're given a numerical expression, the first thing you're going to look for are grouping symbols, parentheses, brackets, anything like that. When you have those grouping symbols, you can have multiple grouping symbols. You want to go to the very innermost set of parentheses first and perform any operations that are in there. So if you have very inside, you have some addition going on in there, then that addition is more important than anything else in the problem until that is solved. So we work from the inside out. Next up is your exponents. We'll be talking about that more in chapter 2. Exponents would be like anything that's raised to a power. 2 squared, the squared would be an exponent. Next, after you've done your parentheses and you've done any exponents that are out there, you're going to multiply and divide from left to right. So if your division is farthest left, then you'll divide before you multiply. If your multiplication is farthest left, then you would multiply before you divide. But you're going to multiply and divide before you do any adding and subtracting, unless that adding and subtracting is set off by a parentheses. And then lastly, the A and the S stand for add and subtract, and that is also from left to right. You've got to do that from left to right. We're going to start with some algebraic expressions. Remember, an algebraic expression is going to have a variable in it. And here we're looking at them with one variable, which means there's only going to be one alphabetic letter that is in our algebraic expression that we're going to solve for it because we're evaluating it. We're going to need to be substituting here. So we have x plus 6. That is our algebraic expression. Our variable is the x. The 6 is a constant, and we are given a value of 13 for that x for this particular problem. So we're going to need to substitute the 13 for the x. So when we do that, we're just going to rewrite the problem with the 13 in there. So we're putting the 13 in place of the x. plus 6, solve. In this case, the algebraic expression is equal to 19. So let's try it for 2a plus 3, which is the algebraic expression. The 2 is a coefficient, the a is the variable, and the 3 is the constant. We want to know what this expression evaluates for if we substitute a 4 in place of the a. So we're going to write our 2, we're going to replace our a with a 4, and add 3. And remember, PEMDAS says that we need to multiply before we add, so we have to do this part first. So 2 times 4 is 8. We add that 3 in, that is going to be equal to 11. That's what that algebraic expression evaluates to. All right, we're going to try another one. We're going to do this one though. We are solving it for 3 different values that n could be equal to. So we're going to need to do all 3. Give myself plenty of room here. So we're going to have 3 equals 5 plus 0 minus 1. We've got to solve inside the parentheses first. So it's going to be 3 times 5 minus 1. Now we need to multiply before we subtract. 3 times 5 is 15 minus 1, so it's going to be equal to 14. Next we're going to solve it for n equals 1. So we have 3 times 5 plus 1 minus 1. Solve inside your parentheses first. 3 times 6 minus 1. Multiply before we subtract. It's going to be 18 minus 1, so that would equal 17. Now we're going to do it for 2. 3 times 5 plus 2 minus 1. Parentheses first, so 3 times 7 minus 1. Multiply before subtract, so 21 minus 1 is equal to 20. All right, now we have 2 variables. We have an x and a y. So when you're doing this, make sure that you're substituting the correct value into your problem. So we have 2x plus 3, so we're going to have 2. X is the value of 15 plus 3 times the value of y, which is 12. Now we need to multiply for each of those, going from left to right first. So 2 times 15 is 30. 3 times 12 is 36. We're going to add those up, and we'll have 66. All right, we're going to try it for 1.5p minus 2q. Still 2 variables. Make sure you're putting 18 in for p and 7.5 in for q. So we have 1.5 times 18 minus 2 times 7.5. We're going to need to do our multiplying first. This would be 27 minus 15. Overall, that's going to be equal to 12. All right, so what you need to do next is your assignment. So on a piece of paper, I need you to work out these problems. Number 1, you just need to tell me which one of them has a variable in it, which expression is the algebraic expression as opposed to a numeric expression. And then you'll do number 2 and number 3 where you're substituting and evaluating. Take a picture of that paper and you're going to post your picture onto Edmodo. If you have any trouble with that, that's fine. Just bring your paper in when you come to class tomorrow, and I will see you then. Bye.